Hey everyone, I'm Karlyn Borysenko with Decode the Left. You can find me over on Substack, Karlyn, Karlyn.substack.com. And this is where I'm doing this live stream right now. We're seeing the Substack people come into the chat. Hey everyone, Moxie, Mandy, Andy, Tandy, Donnie. Everyone's name ends with either an I or a Y today, apparently. Well, I was up late doing some research last night. And, must be a day it ends in Y, right? Karlyn is researching until 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, like, every day of the week. Aloha, Donnie. Donnie's in Hawaii. I was up late doing some research last night, and, I started down the zine rabbit hole, and the zine rabbit hole is always just, like, one of those things where, like, the minute you start down the zine rabbit hole is the minute you are trapped forever. It's like Alice in Wonderland. Like, you go down this thing, and you are never, ever, 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 ever escaping. So, for people who are new, what the hell is a zine? A zine is something. Oh, got a whole bunch of them here on my desk. It's a handmade, small, produced on a printer and photocopier piece of leftist propaganda. This is basically, usually it's just like blocks of text. They could have hand-drawn things. They could have comics. They could have, guides on how to make your own fucking hormones. Oh no, that's not the hormone guide. The hormone guide has a bird on it too, though. They could have whatever the left wants to write about. Anything the left wants to write about, they will create a zine about. And I become a little bit obsessed with these zines because I have an archive of these zines that is like scratching the surface of the amount of these things that exist that goes back to the 60s. And my contention is that it is one of the best sources to be able to track the ideology of the far left. What are they saying? What are people thinking about? Because these are things that exist in leftist subcultures, okay? It's not that every zine that's ever been created in the world is a leftist piece of propaganda, but leftists love using zines as pieces of political propaganda to talk about whatever subject they want to talk about, to radicalize people. They leave zines all over these cities. I found last night there was, in New York, there is actually just like a random kind of like sidewalk zine library where people leave their zines and you can bring your own zines and you can take whatever zines you want. And part of the reason the left loves zines is zines are things that you can print at home. This is a Mary Nardini gang zine right there. These are zines you can print at home, and it keeps them outside of the capitalist system. So they're not going through traditional book publishers. They're not even going through traditional printing processes. These are things that they're making on their photocopiers, their home printers, things like that. This is stuff they used to Photoshop in Kinko's before everyone had a printer at home that was more affordable. And so what the left believes is that publishing all their ideas in zines, and anytime they write a manifesto, anytime they write a communique, anytime they write a pamphlet, it's getting published like this. That keeps them outside of the capitalist system. So they view this as a political act, okay? So that's what you have to know. Anytime you see zines, you are probably almost always seeing far left propaganda that is designed explicitly to radicalize people to the far left. And they have zine making workshops, they have zine making classes. There are school clubs that the left has set up to teach people how to make zines. I mean, I even think back to, to really go down the rabbit hole on this, I think back to when I went to college, which was a long ass time ago. I went to the College of Communication at Boston University. And when I first got into Boston University, I was going to study magazine journalism. That was my first thing that I wanted to do. And then I switched over to public relations and all that stuff. But I bring this up because even back in 1999, when I went to college, there was a zine making minor at my college in 1999. And I've seen college classes in this. I've seen workshops in this. They have entire conferences around this. They teach this. This is part of their propaganda ecosystem, and they are obsessive about it. Well, I've been working on this project for the Center for Left-Wing Studies, where I'm trying to build out kind of an archive of zines, but I'm also trying to create like a directory of where do you find all these zines? Because part of the problem with the zines is you have to know what the title of the zine is in order to be able to find it. You can usually find a PDF if you know the title, but if you don't know the title, like it's hard to kind of like, it's a nebulous thing to try to look for. And so there are these websites that have archives of these zines. There are also just archives for specific like like a specific title of a zine. So a zine might have, many dozens of issues or something like that. So there are anyway, I'm trying to build out a directory of all of these zines so that we can start to bring all this stuff together. And my ultimate goal with this is I want to study these zines. I'm trying to make a resource, and I've kind of started doing this, but it's just like I didn't even realize how much I was just scratching the surface. I want to make a resource where we are actually able to go in and study these leftist propaganda zines by decade, by down to year, by down to subject matter, to find out how the ideology has evolved and where it's going, because these zines are a preview of what's coming next. This is the tip of the sphere of what is coming next. This zine has an image that was in the 2000s. This told us what they were doing then. So if we can get a hold of this type of stuff, we can figure out what the next thing is and how they're strategizing and how they're organizing and stuff like that. So I actually want to create a resource where we are studying these things. And so I've been doing a lot of research about it. It's so massive. It's so massive. And one of the things that I realized last night, and this was an epic mindfuck for me, and it's one of those things that was so simple, but it didn't occur to me. That's what a lot of this research with the left is. It's like an obvious, like, oh duh, of course they're doing that. Like when you figure it out and you see it, you're like, oh shit, of course they're doing that. Why didn't I think of that? But it's like they do things that I wouldn't even think about doing. And so until it hits me in the face and I'm like, holy shit, they actually did this, it just doesn't occur to me. Let me tell you what I figured out last night. There are zine collections, actual zine collections, at almost every public library, at almost every university. We started, and I got to give a shout out to Reagan, because Reagan this week sent me, or maybe it was last week, I don't even know anymore. Reagan last week sent me the Barnard College zine library. So Barnard College, which is affiliated with Columbia University, they work very closely together, super leftist school. Barnard College actually has an entire zine library where they're archiving this stuff and teaching people how to make them and having whole zine workshops and zine events and stuff like that. A whole fuck off zine library. So Reagan sends me this. And then I start going down the rabbit hole. And then I started going to other college websites. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at all these library websites, and they all have zine collections. All of them. They're like special collections. I swear to God. It's like you think of special collections sometimes and you think like really old documents that were signed by famous old people and stuff like that you're not even allowed to touch because they're in the special collection of the library, or really old books that like are out of print and you can't get anymore, and so they keep them in the back. They have special collections of zines, thousands of zines at these university libraries. And not even just the universities, at public libraries. New York Public Library has a zine collection. Boston Public Library has a zine collection. Denver Libraries has a zine collection. I mean, there's a random fuck-off library in Worcester, Massachusetts that has a zine collection. And it's one of those things where it's like, you remember a few years ago when the president of the American Library Association, and I famously recorded her at the socialism conference, saying that libraries need to be sites of socialist organizing. Do you remember the uprise a couple years ago on the conservative right over this one librarian, Emily Drabinski, who got herself elected president of the American Library Association? And conservatives were all pissed off about this. She's a Marxist lesbian as the president of the American Library Association, all that stuff. Emily Drabinski was a drop in the bucket. It's the thing that pisses me off about the right. Must be another day that ends in Y. I'm pissed off at the right for them dropping the ball yet again when it comes to the far left. Everyone was focused on Emily Drabinski, and everyone was focused on pulling the libraries out of the American Library Association. Now, I'm not suggesting that pulling the libraries out of the American Library Association was a bad idea. It was a good idea, but it didn't go far enough because library sciences is completely compromised by the Marxist left. The whole thing, the whole profession. Listen, and that's not to say that every single librarian is a Marxist, but when I'm seeing leftist zine collections at every major public library, at every major college library, the entire profession is corrupted by these people who have been in these institutions for years, just trying to get their zines. In fact, it's so bad. Let me even show you this. Hang on. I gotta show you something on my screen. I gotta show you what I found last night because it's just like I posted all this stuff on oh, my connection is unstable. Hang on, gotta wait a second. Hang on, hang on. Hopefully my connection comes back. Hang on. Oh, we're back. Okay. So that's actually good. So I found a couple of books last night. Do you want to know how brazen the far left is? Do you want to know how brazen these people are? Check this out. Check this out. There was a book written in 2022, Zines in Libraries, Selecting and Purchasing and Processing. This is for librarians. And it's even worse than that. This book was written in 2004, From A to Zine, Building a Winning Zine Collection for Your Library. They have been archiving leftist fucking propaganda in libraries all over the country on the taxpayer dime for years. In special collections where they're doing workshops, they're doing events, they're hosting conferences about making this shit, they're teaching other people how to make it. It is unbelievable, guys. It is unbelievable. It's like another entire profession has been completely corrupted and no one noticed. No one noticed. Again. In fact, most people on the right don't even fucking know what a zine is. The reason I know what a zine is I was going to leftist events and they were handing out all these zines and they were always talking about zines and they were always doing stuff with zines. And because I watched so much leftist shit and go to their events, I had a library full of this stuff before I ever even started to research it. I was like, what the fuck is going on with zines? Oh, now I know. It's their propaganda tool of choice because it brings them outside of the capitalist system. And librarians, Marxist leftist librarians, all over the country for years have been creating archives and special collections of these zines at every major library in the country. And if you don't believe me, you know what? Do a little experiment. Go to the university near you and go to the library page and go see if they have a zine collection. Call the librarian. Do you guys have a zine collection? Go to the local public library near you. Now, like, maybe start off with a bigger city. I'm not saying every small library. I'm not suggesting that every small library all over the country has a zine collection. Okay, but like, go to a major city near you. Go to the public library there. Hey, do you guys have a zine collection? Just see what they say. I'm betting we're gonna because I was just going to website after website after website last night, and it was like every single one of them had one of these collections. And oftentimes, these collections are donated by alumni and stuff like that because they want these things preserved because in leftist subculture, they value this stuff as educational resources and materials that they pass on when they're done. It's just like, man, the scale of the problem that we have with the far left and the things that are going on that no one is paying attention to and that no one's looking at and that no one's researching. You know, one of the things I really want to do with the Center for Left-Wing Studies is I actually do want to create a community of people where we are researching this stuff. I need people to go through and start reading all this shit. Listen, I have a massive amount of these zines sitting in my office. I have even more of these zines in PDFs on my computer. I've tried documenting this stuff, putting it out there. It takes time to read this stuff. A lot of these zines are not, they're not small. They're not small. This is like, uh-oh, drop my phone. Uh-oh, landed right on your face. But like this is not an insignificant amount of reading. This is a huge ass zine. This is a huge ass zine. This is many dozens of pages long with tiny, tiny, tiny writing. And they're telling us everything that they think in their writing. They tell us what they think, but we need to find people who are actually researching this and putting the information together and connecting these ideas and helping us to archive all of this. And that's something I want to do through the Center for Left-Wing Studies. I just need to find the people who are interested in participating in that type of project. Yeah, it's a very nice desk. It's a nice wooden stand-up desk that I never stand up on, but I can stand up on it if I want. It's one of those ones that goes up and down, so I can stand up if I want to, I guess. Anyway, I just had to come online and talk about that with you guys because that was honestly one of the revelations that I had last night. And like I said, it's like Dominus Dark says, I don't dare. The closest one to me is University of Illinois, Chicago. Oh, yeah, you've got a zine collection there. Not only do you have a zine collection there, you've got a whole queer studies department there. Yeah, but, like, listen, you guys shouldn't be afraid of going into the library and asking them a question. Like, I'm gonna be honest, that's, like, stupid and ridiculous. You shouldn't be afraid of going into the library and asking a question. Nothing's gonna happen to you. It's gonna be fine. Um, but it's one of those things where I was like, "Oh, duh. Duh. Of course, Marxist librarians would create massive zine archives in libraries all over the country. And no one thinks to look for it, and no one knows about it except the people who are involved in these subcultures. And it's like they're doing this all right in front of us. And by the way, they're doing it on the taxpayer dime because guess who funds public libraries? We do. Guess where they're distributing massive amounts of leftist propaganda? Public fucking libraries. It's crazy. It's crazy. The crazy never stops. Anyway, that was the quick update that I had for you guys. This is a project that I'm working on for the Center of Left Wing Studies. If you want to help me out with that, go to leftwingstudies.com. There's a volunteer form. You can come and help out with the zine project. We're going to be creating an archive of these zines, all the important ones that have like driven the subculture. But there's so much reading to do. There's so much archiving to do, and again, like this is a data problem and this is a research problem insofar as like we need people who are actually willing to sit down and look at things. And I'm not talking about a cursory view. I need people who are going to sit down and actually read things and actually help us analyze things. We are not doing it the quick way. We are doing it the right way. There have been too many people on the right who have just half-assed all of their research and all of their analysis about the left, which is why they are always and perpetually wrong. I think we're quite frankly effed anyway. So I want to make sure if we're doing research and analysis, we're actually doing it correctly and we're being nuanced in how we put it out there. So if you're interested in helping out, go to leftwingstudies.com/volunteer. If you're interested in making a gift to the Center for Left Wing Studies, you can do that in a tax-deductible way. I'm going to be switching over to a new donation system for the Center for Left Wing Studies. So if you've been waiting to give Bitcoin, which would be awesome, or if you've been waiting for like checking account deductions and stuff like that, that's going to be coming for the Center of Left Wing Studies. The Center for Left Wing Studies is a nonprofit organization that I am running to try to archive and research this material and actually create some sense out of all of this from an anti-communist perspective, so that we know what our enemy is doing, we know how they're organizing, we know what they think, we know what they believe, we know the people driving all this. Because if you don't know your enemy, you can't defeat them. So, I'm only trying to build the only organization that I know of in the country that's actually dedicated to studying and researching the far left. No big deal. Will it work? Who knows? But I'm going to give it a try because, again, it's just mind-boggling to me. The left has been doing this right in front of us. They've been doing it right in front of us for decades. They've been doing it right out in the open. They're so brazen about it. They write books because they know that no one who disagrees with them will ever find the books. They do presentations on the internet because they know that people will never watch them unless they agree with them. Yeah. That's all I got, guys. I am going to be streaming at 5:00 today. Yesterday on stream, I thought it was Wednesday all day. And so I said, oh, I might take Thursday off. And then I realized about 10:00 last night, I'm like, is it Thursday? Did I miss an entire day this week? So today, as it turns out, is Friday. We will be doing happy hour at 5 p.m. on the channel. We will be watching Sargon of Akkad take down James Lindsay. We will also be watching Sophie. We'll be watching that Sophie video from the other day. I also have an article from Sophie that I want to read. So we're going to have a chill day. I've got some beer and I'll be live at 5 p.m. You thought it was Friday yesterday, Reagan? I thought it was Wednesday yesterday, all day, until 10:00. And then I'm like looking at my calendar. I'm like, is it seriously Thursday? I literally thought it was Wednesday all day. I was like, oh, Karlyn. You're in too much leftist propaganda, Karlyn. You skipped an entire day. You missed an entire day of your life this week. Great. Anyway, guys, I posted a video. One last thing. I posted a video today talking about a couple undercover trips that I would like to do. Apart from the Center for Left Wing Studies, because the Center for Left Wing Studies is a nonprofit research organization, I'm still doing independent journalism that is 100% funded by you guys. And so if you're not yet subscribed to my Substack for $8 a month, $80 a year, I hope you'll consider doing so today. I don't take a salary from the Center of Left Wing Studies. I actually get paid entirely from my Substack and my YouTube channel and all the content that I create for you guys about the far left. And you can help fund a couple undercover trips I want to do before the end of the year by becoming a member of the Substack, by making a one-time gift on decodetheleft.com if you prefer that. I posted a video about it. I can't tell you obviously what I want to go undercover at because that would kind of ruin it, wouldn't it? But I can tell you that these are like there's a couple of just like really interesting things that I do want to go to that I do think is going to result in us getting like some great propaganda and stuff like that and great access inside leftist events. And I can only do that with your help. So if you haven't yet signed up for the Substack, sign up for the Substack today. I would really appreciate it. You guys keep me 100% independent. And given the amount of lying that's been going on this week about that Catholic church shooter being a leftist, which he's, by the way, can I tell you guys? I'm totally in a fight with Andy No about this. Andy No and I have been DMing about this. Andy is doubling down on he was a leftist, and I'm like, and I say this with all due respect for Andy No. I really do. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Andy No. Sometimes very smart people disagree, and I don't have anything personally against him. I don't hate him. I'm not going to attack him. I'm not going to go after him like I've gone after James Lindsay, anything like that. But I will tell you, I very firmly said to him, I was like, Andy, you are out of your mind, batshit insane. If you think that kid's journal connects with anything Antifa has ever written. And I was just like, Andy, you may be able to fool people who don't spend all of their days reading leftist propaganda, but I know what leftist propaganda looks like. I know what leftist writings look like. I know what these manifestos look like. I know how these people communicate. My community knows how we read this shit literally all the time. You might be able to fool your average conservative that just watches Fox News and the Daily Wire to think that that kid's a leftist because he's trans. I actually read their shit. And I know Andy No does too. He wrote an entire book about Antifa, and it's a great book. It's a really good book. But don't tell me for one red second that actual leftist propaganda matches with that kid's journal at all. That kid was a mentally ill person. He was a mentally ill person that probably spent a lot of time on 4chan. He was much more inclined towards the right. There is no universe in which he was involved in leftist organizing. There was no universe that he was involved in leftist organizations. He didn't talk like a leftist. He didn't use leftist language. He didn't have any of their symbology. It is an absurd notion given the amount of this stuff that I've read, and I think many people in this community agree with me, and you guys have read a lot of this stuff with me, it is absurd. So I told him that directly. I was like, bro, you literally wrote a book about Antifa, Andy. And Andy's like, he was like, I don't know why you think I'm saying this person is Antifa. I never said he was. I'm like, Andy, you've been posting about Antifa for days and then connecting it with this shooter. I have people all over my comments saying, Karlyn, Andy No says the Catholic church shooter was Antifa. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Here we go. And why is this important? Why am I so fired up about this? Because every time someone with Andy No's status lies to people, they run cover for the real far left, and Andy No fucking knows better. He knows better. Yeah, I mean, like, it's one of those things where it's like, people who haven't spent time reading this stuff, I understand. Okay, listen, I'm a weird person. My community is filled up with weird people. I understand that many of you that are going to be watching this or listening to it, whatever, you haven't spent as much time as I have, and you haven't spent as much time as many members of my community have reading leftist propaganda. I get that. That's fine. But it's one of those things where, because I have spent probably thousands of hours reading this stuff, I can tell on sight if something is a piece of leftist propaganda or if it isn't, based on the language in it, based on the graphics, how they're using it, how they're framing it. The left has very, very specific style that is very consistent across decades. There are things they do very consistently that stands out as, oh yeah, this is absolutely a Marxist, this is a queer Marxist, this is a leftist, this is where this person's like, and it's like, think about a thing that you're an expert in. Okay? Think about a thing like it could maybe knitting. Let's just take knitting for a second. If a knitting pattern has a problem in it, if someone has made a mistake in a knitting pattern, someone who's an expert in knitting can look at that knitting to say, oh, yeah, you fucked it up there, didn't you? And they're like, yeah, I made a mistake there. I miscounted, like whatever it was. If you are an expert at knitting, you can look at someone's work and say, yo, you fucked that little bit up, didn't you? If you're an expert at automotives, and someone says, I have this weird problem with my car, you know what that is because you're an expert in that thing. If you're an expert at, I don't know, pick out anything. But when you spend so much time studying or doing something, you become able to identify things on site that people who are not an expert in that thing would have no fucking idea about. I have read so much leftist propaganda over the last several years. I have been undercover at their events. I have watched more of their events than anyone else on the internet. I can identify on site. Is this person a leftist? What group are they a part of? What language are they using? What patterns? It's pattern recognition, guys. That's all it is. And everyone has the ability to do this for the things that they're an expert in. It just so happens that the thing I'm expert in is fucking leftist propaganda. And so when I looked at that kid's journal, there was no universe. There's no universe. There's no chance. And I don't give a fuck if that kid has a gun sticker on his journal that has a pride flag. He probably picked it up at a gun event because the Socialist Rifle Association hands out all those stickers at gun events. He probably got it there. That doesn't mean that he's involved with the Socialist Rifle Association. In fact, I would bet all the money in my bank account, and I've actually met the Socialist Rifle Association when I've been undercover at their events. I fucking have Socialist Rifle Association stickers in my office right now. I would bet you all the money that kid never even went to a Socialist Rifle Association meeting. He just picked up the sticker at a gun event. And that's the thing that Andy Ngo is hinged on. He's like, but Karlyn, he had this Socialist Rifle Association sticker. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. The language in the journal did not match leftist propaganda. None of the symbology on the guns matched leftist propaganda. In fact, the things that he was writing are things that leftists would never write. Using the word nigga, talking about Ted Kaczynski, talking about nuking India, talking about like he basically did an homage to the Christchurch shooter. This was a mentally ill kid that probably spent way too much time on 4chan. He spent time on the dissident right, not on the left. And just because, like, you can't, this is why cherry picking evidence is so dangerous. Because people are like, but he said queer on one of his guns. He was quoting a fucking song lyric. But he had that sticker. So what? He could have gotten that at a gun event. We know he went to gun events. He talked about going to gun events. The Socialist Rifle Association tables at gun events, guys. So you can't pick out one piece of evidence and take that one thing and say, this is the proof. Well, no, it's not. You have to look at the entire context. And when you look at all the videos, you look at all the writings, you look at everything that's come out about him, you look at all the different characters, there is no universe in which he was involved in any leftist groups. I promise you. And no, I don't care that he's trans. I don't care. That doesn't make a difference. Conservatives have trans people too. Conservatives love trans people when they're on their side. Don't tell me that all trans people are liberals and leftists. That is just not the case. This kid was involved in dissident right-wing subcultures. He was on 4chan. He was doing all the fucking memes. There is no universe that anyone that is involved with the far left, anarcho-communists, there's no universe in which they use the language that he used. So, Andy Ngo and I are fighting about this. I say this with all due respect, he is wrong. And you believe this kid was part of Trantifa, which is something that Trantifa is not a real thing. There's no connection between this kid and Antifa. There's no connection with this kid. Trantifa isn't even a real thing. This kid was not on the left. Because I would have been the first person screaming up and down the internet that he was a queer Marxist. Literally writing a book about queer Marxism right now. I have been researching this topic for years. I would be the first person screaming, "Oh, another queer shooter on hormones, blah, blah, blah." I would have been the first person doing that. But you have to follow the evidence. And sometimes the evidence that you follow doesn't actually lead to the narrative that you want to sell to the public, or that you can make money with having clicks and clout and show appearances like Andy Ngo is doing right now. Andy Ngo wouldn't be on any TV shows if he was talking about how this kid was a right-wing dissident. He's on TV shows because he's talking about how this is in the greater context of violent militant queer activism or whatever. When you lie to people, when people with Andy Ngo's status lie about what's going on, that covers for the real far left. It covers from the communists. Does Judith or Jack Halberstam come up in your research much? Yeah, Jack Halberstam is someone that I'm looking into. I mean, Judith, you're saying Judith Butler. We cover Judith Butler all the time. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really disappointing on that front, and I'm really getting sick of people coming into my comments and saying, "But Karlyn, Andy Ngo said he was part of Antifa." And even Andy Ngo is trying to skirt around. He's like, "Oh, I never said he was part of Antifa." No, Andy, you just posted pictures of Antifa and then said it was collated. Like, come on. Come on, bro. Come on. Be fucking better than that. There are serious problems in the world, and like when something is so Andy Ngo has written a book on Antifa. He knows what they look like. Don't tell me this is a mistake. It's not. It's a narrative. Nothing more. Anyway, the whole thing with the Catholic Church shooter is very sad. That kid was mentally ill. I'm not saying that to excuse what he did, by the way. I'm just saying that it's just sad all around. He obviously had mental illness that was untreated, and it resulted in a tragedy. So, and I think the most disgusting thing of all is all the people using this for political points for their own side. And yeah, that is what I will never do. I will never do that with you guys. I will always follow the evidence where it goes, regardless of the narrative. And if that's what you want, that's what you're gonna get here. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. I will be streaming at 5 o'clock. Thank you guys for supporting my work. Thank you for coming out to the live stream. Make sure you subscribe to the Substack if you are not already. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye.